Shareholder earnings calls are not the most edge-of-your-seat listening, unless you know what to listen for.
Greetings, and welcome to the Maximus Fiscal 2018 First Quarter Conference Call.
Like this call for a multinational, multi-billion-dollar company called Maximus. It's one of a few for-profit companies that run government welfare-to-work programs across the country. The CEO, Bruce Caswell, made more than $6 million last year. And on this call in 2018, he told shareholders things were looking up because they were at the vanguard of what he called a movement.
Programs. If you think about what's being called welfare reform 2.0 domestically and the movement to add work requirements not just to the Medicaid program, but other programs like the food stamp program and other similar programs, it's a competency that no other company in the market has like Maximus.
Maximus was largely built on the idea of putting work requirements into welfare programs. The company went public the year after Welfare Reform 1.0 was passed in 1996. And since then, work requirements are a policy Maximus and similar firms have tried to shape, perpetuate, and grow. They've spent millions of dollars in lobbying and political donations.
We changed the whole dynamic of welfare to work in this country.
Peter Cove is the founder of America Works, one of the nation's first for-profit welfare-to-work companies. He says he was closely involved in the push to add work requirements to cash welfare in the 1990s and helped convince policymakers to allow for-profit companies to run programs.
As a private for-profit company, we had a bottom line. And so we said, if we don't succeed, we go out of business. That's not true of government.
Peter says he sees his company as having two main customers: governments, who pay him for enforcing work requirements, and local employers, who his company helps fill jobs with people on welfare.
What we basically say to government is, we will charge you for getting someone off welfare in a job and staying in a job. And to the private sector, we say, we're going to bring you a worker who's going to save you a lot of money.
Government is one of your customers. Businesses are another. What about the welfare recipient?
I think of them more as the product of our company rather than customers.
So people are the products?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, they're inventory for us. They're our raw product. They come in and we have to do something with them. Terminology may bother some people, but that's in fact what we do.
How much do you make off your inventory, off of your products?
We make enough to stay in business. Our revenue runs between $40 and $50 million a year.
But what are taxpayers getting for all that money? I ran Peter through some of the results we found in our analysis of data we obtained from the state of Wisconsin. America Works, Maximus, and other for-profit welfare-to-work companies each take in millions of taxpayer dollars from the state each year to enforce work requirements and connect participants with jobs. But in the last few years in Wisconsin, the median wage for people who got jobs on welfare has hovered around $11 an hour, which, even if you are working full-time, would put you below the poverty line for a family of three. And our investigation showed only about a third of the welfare participants who these companies considered ready to work even got jobs that lasted more than a month. What do you make of that?
What do I make of that? That we're not doing as well as I would hope we would be doing. That I would hope that we would be getting more people into jobs.
But even if private welfare-to-work companies are not getting that many people into jobs, let alone jobs they can support a family on, these companies still get paid by the state. For every person that just walks into an America Works office in Wisconsin and says, "Hi, I need help," the company takes in money. Last year, Wisconsin paid America Works almost $5 million for managing about 2,000 welfare cases, assigning participants required work activities, making sure they were doing them for the required number of hours, and docking their benefits if they weren't.
I'm a big dollar sign for them.
Maya Miller is from Racine, Wisconsin. She first turned to welfare right after she'd had a baby. The low-paying daycare job she'd had for years until then didn't have paid maternity leave, so welfare helped her make ends meet in those early newborn days. And like a lot of women I've talked to, when the program's work requirements kicked in on her case, they felt like meaningless hoops to jump through. So she left welfare for another low-paying daycare job she found on her own, and she felt trapped.
You don't have enough to survive. You're penny pinching all over again. You're living paycheck to paycheck. You're basically worse off, than from where you came.
But even though Maya had found her new job on her own, even though it was barely enough to support her son on, the for-profit welfare-to-work company where she was enrolled, a company called ResCare, got thousands of dollars from the government as a reward for the fact that Maya had gotten that job. And when Maya found that out, she was mad.
I'm making your company money and I need somebody to assist me. And I wasn't receiving that. It really got under my skin to know that they would get allocated more money based upon my participation versus actually me getting the services or something that I really could gain from.
We reached out to the private company that managed Maya's welfare case, ResCare, which recently changed its name to Equus. It declined an interview, but said in a statement it's, quote, dedicated to assisting welfare participants gain access to employment. We also reached out to Maximus, the company that said in that earnings call that work requirements are a major competency. A company spokesperson said in a statement that Maximus doesn't design policies, it just implements them. As for Maya, the person who went through Wisconsin's privatized welfare-to-work system, she says she wishes more welfare money went directly to struggling families like hers, rather than paying private companies to enforce work requirements and try to get people jobs that often keep them in poverty. I'm Chrissy Clark for Marketplace.